I've played through Assassin's Creed Shadows, the full game, and I'm going to confirm what I thought was the case in my preview, and that is that Ubisoft Quebec cooked with this game. What's up, y'all? Malik here. This is my spoiler-free, unpaid review of Shadows. I know a lot of my loyal supporters are hyped about this game, and you guys are definitely in for a treat. This game is massive, from the size of the map, the amount of side quests offered, the amount of activities you can partake in, like building your hideout and scouting recruits for it, the amount of environmental nuances, like the seasons changing and the weather system. Yeah. This game is going to keep folks very busy. So a lot of you already know, especially if you saw my preview, this game has two protagonists. There's Niaoue, the shinobi, whose playstyle is a lot similar to a typical assassin, though I'd argue she's a lot quicker, flashier, squishier. She dies real fast in fights. And since she's petite, the amount of stealth potential for her is boundless. And there's Yasuke, the first playable real-life historical figure in a mainline Assassin's Creed base game whose combat style is 100% brutality. A complete 180 from Niaoue. He's unable to parkour everywhere. He can climb a little bit, but doesn't have a grappling hook to scale the game's higher structure seamlessly. And he's such a hulking presence, he can run through most of the doors and people in this game. I know a lot of AC faithfuls who prefer stealth are not going to see a point for Yasuke since he's a much more confrontational character. And the good news is, outside of a couple narrative moments, you don't have to use him. You can play pretty much the entire game as Niaoue without switching. But I personally did enjoy using both of them, and over time I found myself using Niaoue to climb up high, synchronize all the vantage points and remove alarms, and then switching to Yasuke to massacre the enemies in strongholds. The only drawback with this, and I mentioned it before, I don't like the brief little load screen that happens when you switch between characters, nor am I a fan of the fact that the only time you see the other characters as an NPC when you're not playing as them is in the hideout. I feel like Spider-Man 2 and GTA 5 really spoiled me on that. But I love the fact that there is a choice between these two playstyles, and this separates it from the other AC game with two protagonists, Syndicate, and that's mainly because the two characters in Shadows don't have similarities, thus opening up plenty more gameplay possibilities. The combat in this game is thorough, and that's coming from someone who's been playing Monster Hunter Wilds for the last couple of weeks. I did experience some clunkiness and bugs from time to time, like being able to stun lock higher leveled enemies into corners, and it's pretty easy. The parry windows are pretty wide, and the basic katana weapon for both characters may feel a bit bare bones at the beginning of the game, but there is a lot of weapon variety between both characters as you progress, with each weapon having its own skill tree. It's definitely a grind unlocking these abilities to truly tap the potential of these weapons, but once you get there, the combat opens up a lot and becomes very fun. Visually, the game looks incredible, and that's mainly a nod to the environmental design, which I feel like Ubisoft games often excel at this, but they snapped with feudal Japan as the setting. The cities feel alive with NPCs and endemic life, and the more remote areas are full of nature, and all this is amplified by Shadow's seasons and weather systems, which added a lot more character to the environment. I do wish that there were some type of animal predators or something when you wander too far into the woods. I didn't really see anything but the occasional stray dog, monkeys, and all types of birds. I guess PETA really got the Ubisoft after that whole Far Cry 6 chicken fighting fiasco. But it looks great. Even the character models and facial animations were solid, which isn't typically the case for AC games, so well done. A highly beloved feature from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is back, and that's the ability to recruit scouts and build a hideout. Now, the scouts come in as valuable assets to locating objectives on the map, which can be confusing because the game really doesn't hold your hand as far as locating your destinations, and it makes you search for things and targets quite a bit. So the scouts can kind of ease that process. And with the actual hideout, you have your essential rooms that have some ties to the gameplay, like the forgery building that allows you to recruit a blacksmith to make you gear, or the stable for your mounts. Then there's a ton of aesthetic rooms and interior decorating you can do as well, which I know anyone with a cozy gaming bone in their body is going to appreciate. It's really nice to see them bring this back, as it was a highly requested feature, and they expanded on it just enough to not feel like it was tacked on. It's a legitimate component to the game, though again, if you'd rather not bother with it, you don't have to invest too much time into it. Probably my favorite part about Shadows, though, would be the story and the writing in this game. Everything felt so grounded, and there's such an authentic human element to the plot and motivations of each character.
What about black? I like black. Black suits me better.
I like the fact that they didn't shy away from the fact that Yasuke was clearly an outsider. I won't go far with this point because I want you to see it for yourself. but it's pretty clear that Ubisoft had people of culture working on this game. Even some of the most simple exchanges with random NPCs felt compelling, and there's quite a few characters in this game that I grew attached to because they were so well crafted and the game did a fantastic job developing them. This for sure was my favorite cast of characters in Assassin's Creed since 2 and Brotherhood. I do think that the modern day story has gotten to a very confusing point, and they tried to flesh it out a bit here. I don't want to say too much, but I find myself not caring about it with every Assassin's Creed game that drops. And I'm just gonna leave that thought there for spoilers' sake. Overall, I really enjoyed this game, and there's a lot more I would like to talk about, but I think it'd be better to let folks experience it. If I had to give this game a number rating, I wouldn't, because you simple-minded people need to stop thinking about games on a false metric and enjoy what you enjoy. But nah, this one is for sure worth the price tag just off the sheer amount of content, and I wouldn't be surprised if they mention this game come December as one of the better story-based titles to drop this year. And that's my take on the game. I'll for sure stream some of the early sections for folks who are on the fence and want to see it in action. As always, thank you guys for your support, and I'll catch you on the streams. Deuces.